Everyone, just going to do a quick oil change on this 2007 Sprinter. It's a turbo diesel, it's 2500, and it requires 3.5 gallons of oil. I've got preferences to Amazon Basics. I like their oil. It's been tested, and but you might want to go with the pre-approved Mercedes or Sprinter oil if you're worried about it. Also, you'll want to have on hand a filter. Some gloves are always nice, and if it's been a long time since you've replaced the gasket on your drain pan, then you might want to get a copper gasket or something that you trust underneath. Alright, so let's begin. Alright, so you're going to need an overly large drain pan because this holds 3.5 gallons of oil. You don't want to undo this and then have it overspilling your container. So I'm just going to use a 13 millimeter here and undo it. And like I said, if you haven't replaced your gasket in a while, this gasket right here, and you might want to go ahead and get that before you get started underneath. And if your oil pan, actually it's not the oil pan, but you can see the oil's coming from up above, you might want to check out my other video on how I stopped the oil leak, as this was just puking the oil. So go ahead and undo this as long as you have a large enough container and all your other parts. Alright, once you have that opened up underneath and draining, while you're waiting for it to finish, might as well get started. This is where your oil filter is. In order to have some clearance to it, you're going to remove this and this, and both of these just lift up. So you pull that one up and you pull this out. Alright, and then just set that aside, and then the same thing goes for these two right here. They will lift up. Alright, and now you've got plenty of clearance to reach this. So hopefully you can see that arrow right there. You see it shows a clockwise. Well, that's actually to tighten it. Come on. So what you're going to do is go counterclockwise. And if you don't have an oil filter wrench, the next best thing is going to be a pair of channel locks. I've already loosened this up and taken the filter out. So you just counterclockwise with it, and then you'll have your oil filter inside. And that oil filter, so this oil filter sits down inside of this cap, and after you've removed it, leave it off for now, and you're going to be replacing two seals. They should have come with your oil filter. You can see the ones right here at my finger now. If you push this seal all the way to the bottom, see that? If you push this seal all the way to the bottom, your vehicle is going to be spewing oil everywhere. So this seal, if you're taking it off, remember to put it back on in the same position, which is right above the very bottom. And before you put this on, coat the seal down with some fresh oil before you do that. And your other seal is right here. Too much sugar, this thing can't focus. Well, anyway, there's a seal right here that you want to replace. No? Alright, so this one might be hard to get off. You might need to use a flathead screwdriver, but again, coat this in fresh oil and put that back on. and you'll just simply push this on, and you hear that pop, so it's all the way down, and then you're gonna put it back on. All right, so you got those two installed, and you're just gonna put it right back in that hole. And I'm gonna remind you about that seal. If you don't have it in the right spot, then you're gonna be spraying oil once you start it up. So I like to take these, and when this one will turn all the way. Generally with a regular oil filter, you'll put it on and turn it another quarter turn, but this one you can snug up by hand. Alright, so that one's on, and your oil underneath should be done draining by now. So once it's done draining, you'll reinsert the bolt, and I have a helper under here with me. Hello everyone. You'll reinsert the bolt, tighten it up, and once it is snug, you're going to turn it another 5 degrees. You'll see that it won't go much further, but that new copper seal will prevent any future leaks. Again, if you have oil leakage like I do coming from up above, then you want to check out my other video, Sprinter versus Blue Devil. Alright, you're just reinstalling this one, pushing it straight down, that one straight down, and this one here will go inside. Actually, better to use two hands. Let me put this down. Alright, so using two hands, you push this one in, and then you'll be pushing this one straight down. And that's it, except for adding the oil. Oh, by the way, the reason I'm using these cheap gloves is because my wife stole all of my good ones. Alright, so here is your oil fill, and we're just going to add 3.5 gallons and run it for leaks. So definitely after you refill your vehicle with oil, you should check it for leaks, and check it for leaks again after your first fill up. Alright, so while this is pouring out, let me just say that if you go online into the forums, there was a lot of heated debate about which type of oil to use. Of course, a lot of people like peace of mind when they're using the pre-approved oil from Mercedes Sprinter, and if that's how you want to go at it, it's perfectly fine. I have been using Amazon Basics. It's fully synthetic, and before that I was using Mobil 1 fully synthetic, and I just saw some comparisons as far as evaporation, flow tests as far as when the engine oil is really cold or when it's hot, and also bearing tests. As far as Amazon Basics and Mobil 1 goes, they're pretty equivalent. I've always been a big fan of Mobil 1. So anyway, probably the biggest reason that I'm using the Amazon Basic is because it has a low evaporation. As far as, you know, once it heats up, it doesn't evaporate much like a lot of the others. And I've been using this for a long time. The vehicle has over 340,000 miles, and everything seems to be great on it. And I'm only changing the oil once a year. Now, I do only drive 10,000 miles a year. I used to drive 20, but now it's down to 10. And I haven't had any problems. I do check it, you know, about once a month, and it just doesn't need much oil added to it. And as far as that evaporation, you're not going to have much ash content if you don't have a lot of evaporation. So, you know, maybe I'm adding a quart of oil for 8,000 miles, so maybe a quart and a half a year, and that's really not that bad. I do like that the Sprinter has you know, the 3.5 gallon capacity. By the way, I had the other half gallon off camera, but this is the oil I use. Feel free to use any oil that you like. I do appreciate you watching the videos. If you have any suggested videos that you'd like me to make, just leave a comment below. And thanks for watching. See ya. I appreciate you watching. I do have a couple other videos you should definitely watch if you've got a Sprinter. One is on a impending problem with the wiring harness. It's not a question of whether it's going to happen or not. It's just a question of when it's going to happen. So definitely watch that one. It's must watch if you own a Sprinter. And a different one that you should definitely watch, that is problems with the charging system. It has to deal with the alternator not getting a charge to the battery, and that one's just due to a corroded main fuse. But thanks for watching again. If you have any videos that you'd be interested in me making, just leave a comment below, and thanks again. See ya.